Move, girl. His voice cracked like a whip just before his hand yanked her collar hard. Trays clattered. Forks froze in midair. The Millstone High cafeteria, usually buzzing with 1,000 voices, fell into absolute silence. 300 teenagers watched, breath held, as Maya Williams didn't flinch, didn't scream. She simply stood still, calm, unmoving. But 3 weeks earlier, things hadn't been this charged. Back then, Maya was just the new girl with a Baltimore accent, a purple hoodie, and natural curls pulled into 2 puff balls. She walked through the school gates of Millstone High with her backpack snug and her head held high not because she felt welcome, but because she was raised that way. Stand tall, her mother had said that morning. Even when the ground ain't fair. Millstone, Georgia wasn't Baltimore. It was quieter, whiter, and wrapped in the kind of southern charm that smiled while watching you fall. The school halls were lined with championship banners and portraits of past valedictorian Severy, one of them white. As Maya made her way to her first class, curious eyes followed. Whispers trailed behind like smoke. She walked into AP English and took the only open seat. Her teacher, Mr. Ellis, paused mid-lesson to say, "Class, we have a new student joining us from Maryland. Everyone, please welcome Maya Williams." A few heads nodded. One girl gave a small, polite smile. But in the back corner, Trevor Grayson leaned back in his seat with the kind of swagger only a town prince could carry. His Letterman jacket hung open, revealing a tight-fitted shirt and an ego the size of Texas. "Look what the diversity bus dragged in," he muttered to Mason, his right-hand sidekick. Mason chuckled. So did Dylan. Maya heard. She didn't turn around. She didn't need to. She'd heard it before, variations of the same tired line in every school that had the nerve to call itself inclusive. During chemistry the next day, she was paired with June Park, a quiet girl who blinked twice before shyly offering a smile. Maya appreciated that. No questions, no small talk, just focus. That was good. They were measuring acid when Trevor strolled past their lab bench. His shoulder accidentally bumped Maya's arm. The beaker wobbled and toppled. Acid splashed across their lab notes. "Oops," Trevor said with a smirk. "Guess chemistry's not for everyone." Maya looked up, slow and steady. "Neither is common decency." He froze, then blinked. Mason and Dylan stared. Trevor chuckled, but his eyes didn't. "Careful, new girl. This school doesn't take kindly to smart mouths. And I don't take kindly to stupid elbows," Maya replied. The bell rang before anything else could happen. As students shuffled out, Trevor leaned in close. "You just made a mistake." "I don't make mistakes," Maya said over her shoulder. "I make choices." By the end of week 1, the campaign had started. Crumpled paper stuffed into her locker. Notes that said things like, "Wrong side of town," or "You don't belong here." Her history textbook went missing. Her gym shoes ended up soaked in the janitor's mop bucket. But Maya didn't cry. She didn't tell. She documented. Photos, notes, names, dates. She kept it all in a worn black notebook tucked into her backpack beside her biology folder. One evening, while her mom was reheating leftover meatloaf, she asked, "How's school?" Maya stabbed a pea with her fork. "Fine." Her mom didn't blink. "Maya Renee Williams, I didn't raise you to lie with that mouth." Maya hesitated. She wanted to say everything. About the bump in chem, about the bathroom graffiti, about the cold shoulders in the cafeteria that seemed to shrink away when she walked in. But she also knew what would happen. Her mom would march into that school with fire in her eyes and a folder of HR policies. And that would make everything worse. "I'm handling it," she said. Later that night, in the garage, her dad called. "You still training, baby girl?" "Every morning." "Good. Remember what I taught you." "I do. Minimum force, controlled response, eyes on every angle. And most important, violence is the last option." He exhaled through the speaker. "But if they put hands on you, you end it." She looked around the garage, at the old punching bag they'd duct-taped back together last summer, at the bench press still carrying his chalky fingerprints. "Not afraid, are you?" he asked. "No, Dad," she whispered. "Not anymore." The next morning, she walked into school wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt and ripped jeans. Her hair was pulled into braids and pinned in a bun. She didn't walk fast. She didn't walk slow. She walked like her name meant something. Trevor watched her from the lockers. So did the hallway. And somewhere, deep in her gut, Maya knew something was coming. She just didn't know when or how, but she would be ready. Monday morning began with a drizzle. The kind of Georgia rain that didn't pour but crept into your sleeves, your shoes, your bones. Maya stood under the metal awning near the bus drop-off, her backpack slung over one shoulder, watching as students trickled inside. Her eyes were steady, but her fingers fidgeted with the zipper tab. Something about the air felt different, heavy. Inside the school, the hallways buzzed the same way they always did before first bell lockers slamming, gum snapping, teachers calling out last-minute reminders. But as Maya walked through the main corridor, something shifted. Conversations hushed when she passed. A few students turned their heads, pretending not to look. Others glanced quickly at their phones. She sensed it. Word was spreading. She reached her locker and twisted the combination. It clicked open and something fluttered out. Papers, photos. Maya froze. Her hands trembled slightly as she crouched down to pick them up. At first, they looked like old black and white history images until she saw the faces. Her face. Someone had photoshopped her onto victims in lynching photographs, hanging from trees, surrounded by mobs. Her knees didn't buckle, but her breath did. Students passed by behind her, some seeing the photos, some not. A few stepped around her without a word. No one stopped. No one ever stopped. She gathered every photo with quiet precision, like collecting evidence from a crime scene. Not a word, not a tear, just a rising, silent fury. In the main office, the secretary looked up with surprise as Maya entered and laid the stack of photos on the counter. "I need to see Principal Harwood," she said calmly. "Do you have an appointment?" "I have evidence." The secretary hesitated, then picked up the phone. A minute later, Maya stood in front of Principal Harwood's desk. He was a tall man in his 50s with the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too much but learned too little. "These were in my locker," Maya said, laying the photos out. The principal's face tightened. "This is disturbing." "You think? Do you know who?" "I know who encourages it. Trevor Grayson. His crew. I don't have a camera on my locker, but you know who's been targeting me. We need concrete proof before taking action. These are anonymous." Maya leaned forward, her voice low. "What you need is a spine." Principal Harwood frowned. "Watch your tone, Miss Williams." "No, Seer. You watch yours, because I'm done watching mine." She turned and walked out. The photos remained on his desk, their images still staring. Back in the hallway, Maya headed straight to the courtyard where June was sitting alone, as usual, beneath the oak tree that had shed most of its leaves. "Got a minute?" June looked up, startled, then nodded. "Of course." Maya dropped her bag on the bench. "I need your help." "What happened?" "I just made it official." June blinked. "Made what official?" "My decision. I'm not going to sit quietly anymore." There was a pause. Then June said, almost in a whisper, "He's planning something." Maya turned. "Trevor?" June nodded. "I overheard Mason in the hallway. Said they were going to teach you a lesson." Maya exhaled through her nose, long and slow. "You need to tell someone," June urged. "I already did. And guess what? They need concrete proof." June looked down. "Then what are you going to do?" Maya's voice was calm. "I'm going to prepare. I've been training for weeks. I know my rights. I've got documentation. But most of all, I've got nothing to lose." June hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a phone. "You want me to record stuff?" "Yes. Record. Screenshot. Save everything. Not just for me, for you too." June nodded slowly. "For all of us." That afternoon, the cafeteria was unusually full. Whispers circled the room like fog. Maya entered with her tray, head high. As always, no one offered her a seat. She settled at the end of a table near the vending machines close to the exit. She'd barely taken her first bite when Destiny, a freshman girl who rarely spoke, slid into the seat across from her. "My brother goes to Georgia State," she said, voice low. "He told me about a law called Stand Your Ground." Maya looked up. "You think I should stand my ground?" Destiny's eyes didn't blink. "I think you already are." There was a beat of silence between them, then the sound of boots. Heavy, purposeful, Trevor Grayson entered the cafeteria with Mason, Dylan, and 2 more from the football team. The room quieted. Phones appeared low and discreet, but there. Maya felt the shift before she saw him. She turned slowly. Spoon paused in midair. Trevor was already walking toward her. She didn't move. Not yet. Every student near her leaned back, sensing the storm. One whispered, "She's not gonna back down." Huh. Another, "She's crazy." Nobody says no to Trevor, but Maya wasn't crazy. She was ready. Trevor stopped just a foot away. "You're in my seat." Maya didn't look up. "Funny, I don't see your name on it." His jaw flexed. "Everything in this school has my name on it." Maya took another bite of food. "Guess you forgot to claim your dignity." His hands curled into fists. "You think you're tough?" he asked, voice tightening. "No," Maya said softly. "I think I'm done being quiet." And just like that, the cafeteria froze again. Not with fear, but with anticipation. Because something was about to break, and everyone could feel it. The question wasn't if, it was when. Trevor's hand moved before his brain did. 1 second he was looming. The next he'd grabbed Maya's collar and yanked her upward with a growl that wasn't loud but guttural. The sound of her tray crashing to the tile floor echoed through the room like a starting gun. A breath caught in every chest. Maya's feet left the floor for a heartbeat. Her shirt twisted tight against her throat. Her eyes locked with his steady, unwavering, unreadable. And then it happened. With precision so fast, it looked like a reflex. Maya's right hand shot up, clamping down on his wrist. Her fingers twisted hard and sudden clockwise. Not too far to break, but far enough to make his body follow the pain. He winced. At the same time, she stepped to the side and drove her knee into his guthard. The kind of move her dad drilled into her before sunrise back home. Trevor's grip faltered, and his breath left him in a choked grunt. Before he could recover, Maya rotated her body, taking control of his wrist, bending it behind him while sweeping his legs with the inside of her sneaker. The golden boy of Millstone High crashed to the floor. Gasps spread like wildfire. Trevor writhed, but she still had his wrist locked beneath her knee. Her left foot planted firmly on his chest. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't even breathing hard. "Stay down," Maya said, calm as still water. "It's over." Mason stood frozen. Dylan took half a step forward, but Maya's gaze shot to them like a warning flare. "Anyone else want to put their hands on me?" Silence. No one moved. Phones were recording from every direction. It was too late to pretend it didn't happen. Trevor hissed from the floor, his voice strained. "This is assault. You attacked me. Everyone saw you grab me first." Maya stood, releasing him. She raised her hands just enough to show she wasn't a threat anymore. Her body language was careful, controlled, non-violent. Trevor tried to rise, rage staining his face red, but stayed seated. He knew he'd lost something far more important than a fight. He'd lost the room. Clapping started at the far corner of the cafeteria, then another, and another. Not everyone, but enough. Maya stepped back slowly, picked up her backpack. She didn't say a word as she walked out of the cafeteria. Outside, the air hit her like a wall. It was cooler than she expected. A breeze lifted the edge of her hoodie. She felt her pulse finally catch up with her. She leaned against a brick column and exhaled, eyes closing for a beat. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just breathed. And then the doors swung open behind her. "Miss Williams?" It was Officer Martinez, school security, middle-aged, salt and pepper mustache, once a city cop. "What happened in there?" he asked, though he already knew. "She grabbed me," Trevor shouted from behind him, stumbling out with one arm cradling the other. "She assaulted me in front of everyone." Martinez's radio crackled, but then Destiny appeared from the crowd, holding her phone high. "I recorded the whole thing," she said firmly. She stepped forward, handing it over. Martinez played the video without speaking. The angle was clear. Trevor approached. Words were exchanged. Then the grab, the yank, the entire takedown. A few more students stepped forward, phones raised, murmuring variations of, "I saw it too." Martinez's jaw tightened. He turned to Trevor. "You've got some explaining to do." "But my father." "Your father doesn't run this school," another voice interrupted. "Principal Harwood." He looked tired, but more focused than Maya had ever seen him. Behind him, Vice Principal Levy and 2 staff counselors stood watching. "This is serious, Mr. Grayson. You're coming with me. We're calling your parents and the authorities." Trevor's face crumpled in disbelief. "You're going to ruin my future over this?" Principal Harwood didn't blink. "You just did that yourself." As Trevor was led away, his entourage didn't follow. Mason stood stiff, like his legs were rooted to the ground. Dylan looked down, ashamed. Maya remained by the column. She didn't move until June appeared by her side. "You okay?" Maya nodded slowly. "Yeah, I am." Then Mrs. Ellis, her English teacher, pushed through the dispersing crowd. "I saw the end of it," she said. "I'm sorry, Maya. We should have stepped in sooner." "You're here now," Maya said. And it was true. The rest of the day blurred. Statements were taken. Her mother was called from the hospital, arriving in her scrubs, hair tied back, worry etched in every wrinkle. The moment she saw Maya, she hugged her hard. "I'm proud of you, baby," she whispered, "but also scared as hell." "Me too," Maya replied. By evening, the video had gone viral across the county. Local news stations aired clips. Parents called the school demanding answers. But something else happened too. Messages started pouring into Maya's inbox from students she barely knew. "I'm sorry I didn't speak up. He bullied me too. You were brave. Thank you." And among the many messages, one stood out from Mason. "I was wrong. He wasn't worth following. I'm sorry." Maya stared at it for a long time. She didn't reply. Not yet. The story had just begun unraveling, and somewhere deep inside, she knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. By Tuesday morning, the front gates of Millstone High were flanked with news vans. Tripods stood crooked on the grass. Reporters in coats and bright smiles rehearsed their lines as students shuffled past, heads down. Maya arrived with her mother, who insisted on driving her instead of letting her take the bus. Inside the car, her mom kept one hand on the wheel and one on Maya's wrist, not squeezing, just holding. "Whatever happens in there today," her mother said, her voice low but steady, "don't let them make you doubt what you did. You protected yourself. You didn't start it. You finished it. And that makes all the difference." Maya nodded, but her chest was tight. Her backpack felt heavier than usual. They pulled up beside the curb. Maya stepped out slowly, eyes catching the red glow of a camera light turning on. Someone whispered her name. She ignored it. As she walked through the front doors, she noticed the change immediately. Teachers nodded to her. Some students stared, others looked away. A few nodded back, but the energy was different. No longer mocking, just unsettled. She found June waiting at her locker. "They've already suspended Trevor," June said quietly. "Pending the investigation. He's not coming back today. Maybe not at all." Maya opened her locker, hands methodical, expression unreadable. "Doesn't mean it's over." "No," June agreed. "But it's starting to shift." In first period, Mr. Ellis gave a strange, fidgety lecture on themes of justice in To Kill a Mockingbird. Halfway through, he paused, looked directly at Maya, then changed the subject to student rights and the importance of speaking up. By lunch, flyers were taped around the halls. Emergency assembly, 3 p.m., gymnasium. Rumors flew. Some said the school board was coming. Others claimed the mayor would speak. A few thought Maya was being honored. Others feared it was damage control. Maya didn't care. Not right now. She took her tray to her usual corner of the cafeteria. The whispers started again. One group of juniors started clapping quietly as she passed. She kept walking. When she sat down, Destiny slid into the seat beside her, clutching a tablet. "You've seen this?" She turned the screen. It was a local news website. The headline read, "High school assault sparks questions about race and power in Georgia suburbs." Beneath it, stills from the video Trevor grabbing Maya's collar, her swift takedown, and the stunned faces of onlookers. "Your name's everywhere now," Destiny said. "Even my cousin at Clark Atlanta sent me the link." Maya stared at the screen for a long second. Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out the black notebook. She flipped to a page she'd marked with a red paperclip. Inside were printed screenshots, handwritten notes, timelines. "This is everything they've done," she said. "Every incident. From the graffiti to the threats to the pictures in my locker. Destiny's eyes widened. You kept all of it? Maya nodded. Because I knew. From the first week. I just didn't know when. June appeared beside them and sat down without a word. We should do something with it, Destiny said. Like what? Maya asked. Show it. Share it. Let people see that this wasn't just one moment. This was a build-up, a pattern, a system. Maya looked at the notebook again. She thought about the other students who had stayed quiet. She thought about the ones watching her now, wondering what would happen next. Then she nodded. Okay. But not alone. That afternoon, the gymnasium was packed. Students filled the bleachers. Teachers stood in clusters near the back wall. School board members sat in folding chairs near the stage. Principal Harwood took the microphone, cleared his throat, and began. We've called this assembly to address what many of you already know. A serious incident occurred yesterday involving 2 students. There's an ongoing investigation, and disciplinary actions are underway. There was a ripple of murmurs. Harwood continued. We are also aware that this incident has brought to light deeper concerns about bullying, racial harassment, and the culture within our school. He paused, then motioned to a table near the edge of the court. Maya recognized it. Her notebook, Destiny's tablet, a stack of printed screenshots. We've reviewed reports and evidence submitted by multiple students. What we've found is unacceptable. And more importantly, it's systemic. Gasps, then silence. June reached over and squeezed Maya's hand once. Harwood stepped back, and a woman in a navy suit took his place. Maya recognized her from the NAACP video calls the night before. M's Carla Jenkins, civil rights lawyer. She looked out over the gym, calm, focused. My name is Carla Jenkins. I've worked with school districts for 20 years, and I can tell you this. Change begins when we stop pretending nothing's wrong. What happened to Maya Williams was not a single act, it was a pattern ignored by too many for too long. Maya's name rang out across the room. She sat still. Some of you may be angry, Miss Jenkins continued. Some may feel afraid. That's normal. Change is uncomfortable. But let me be clear. No student has the right to lay hands on another. No one has the right to make someone feel unsafe because of how they look, where they're from, or who they are. She paused. Then, and no one should have to defend themselves because adults failed to do their jobs. That line hit hard. Even some teachers shifted uncomfortably. The assembly ended not with applause, but with something heavier reflection. Later, in the hallway, Mason approached Maya. His face was pale, voice trembling. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. I let it happen. I laughed. I didn't stop it. I should have. Maya didn't reply right away. She studied his face. Why now? Because I saw it, he said. You didn't just stand up to him. You stood up for all of us. And I didn't deserve that. There was a beat of silence between them. I'm not looking for forgiveness, Mason added. Just to do better. Maya nodded once. Then start by speaking when no one else will. That night, Maya sat on her bed, the notebook open beside her, the glow of her phone lighting her face. New messages kept coming, in strangers, classmates, even parents. Some hateful, some thankful, but one stood out. It read, My name is Kiara. I'm a sophomore in Tennessee. I saw your video. I'm dealing with something like that too. But now I think I might speak up. Maya closed her eyes. Maybe it really was shifting. Not just here, but everywhere. Wednesday morning dawned sharp and cold, but the school air felt different. Not just because Trevor was gone. Something else had shifted. The silence that had once suffocated the halls was now filled with murmurs, questions, confessions, curiosity. Maya walked in quietly, her hoodie zipped up, hair in 2 tight braids. Her black notebook was clutched under her arm, not because she feared it being taken, but because it had become something more than paper. It was proof, armor. As she passed by the guidance office, she spotted a sign taped to the door. Safe space open discussion. Room 112. All students welcome. Someone had written it in Sharpie underneath, because change needs voices. In first period, Mr. Ellis had a different energy. He cleared his throat, looked around the room, then rested his gaze on Maya. This class was going to start a unit on modern literature, he said, but I've asked to shift that plan. I want us to focus on voices of resistance. Writers who stood up in moments others stayed quiet. He nodded toward her. Just slightly, respectfully. After class, Maya opened her locker and found something she never expected. A folded note. No threat this time. Just a sentence scribbled in uncertain handwriting. I was wrong. You showed all of us what real strength looks like. A. She stared at it, unsure who A was. Maybe someone watching from the sidelines. Maybe someone who used to laugh. At lunch, June, Destiny, and 2 other students, Jerome and Alejandra, waited for her at their usual table. They were forming a kind of tribe, not through agreement, but through recognition. Shared kids, shared scars. Guess what? Alejandra said, pushing her glasses up. The school board's bringing in an outside consultant, some kind of diversity and equity specialist. Training's going to be mandatory. Finally, Destiny muttered. I don't want a performance, Maya said flatly. I want change. We do both, June added. We let them put on the show, but we control the script. The group fell into a long pause, interrupted only by the occasional buzz of phones. That afternoon, Maya was called to the principal's office. Again. But this time, the room wasn't cold, and it wasn't empty. Principal Harwood was there. So was Miss Jenkins. But there was someone new. A tall woman with silver hair, dark skin, and an Air Force pin on her lapel. This is Dr. Evelyn Monroe, Miss Jenkins said. She's the district's interim equity director. Dr. Monroe offered a firm handshake. Maya, I've read every report, every line in that notebook. What you did wasn't just brave. It was disciplined, measured. That's rare in any age, let alone your age. Maya swallowed. I didn't want to be anyone's symbol. I just wanted to be safe. You should be, Dr. Monroe said. And now, others will be, because of you. The next 20 minutes were filled with legal jargon, future steps, and protective measures. But beneath all the words, there was something new. Accountability. As she got up to leave, Principal Harwood hesitated. There's something else. He handed her a letter. Maya unfolded it. To Maya Williams. I know I can't undo anything. I know what I did was cruel, cowardly, and inexcusable. I've started therapy. Anger management. My dad's furious with Mayboot. That's not why I'm writing. I'm writing because I watched the video. Not the one of you flipping me. The other one. The interview. You talked about how silence protects no one. I'd never heard it like that. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I'm trying. Trevor. Maya stood still, eyes scanning the page again and again. She didn't know what she felt. Not quite closure. Not forgiveness. But something that looked a little like recognition. Outside the office, the hallway buzzed louder than usual. Posters had gone up. Student Town Hall, this Friday, hosted by the Stand-Up Circle. Maya hadn't known they were using that name officially, but she smiled, just slightly. After school, she found herself back in the garage with her father. He'd driven in from Norfolk, still in his uniform shirt. They didn't say much. He tossed her a set of training mitts. She slid them on. Footwork, he said. They circled in silence, the sound of sneakers on concrete, breath sinking. After 10 minutes, he called time. You didn't just win a fight, he said. You taught a lesson, quietly, cleanly. I didn't expect the fallout, Maya admitted. Fallout means they felt it, means you didn't waste your moment. He handed her a towel. You're not just my daughter. You're becoming a damn fine leader. That night, Maya sat at her desk, flipping through her notebook. She started a new section, not about incidents, but ideas, initiatives, things students had suggested, counseling circles, student-led panels, peer defense workshops. She paused, then wrote a new header in capital letters. From proof to power. Her phone buzzed. A video link. She clicked. It was a clip from another high school, miles away. A black boy stood up during a classroom discussion and called out a racist comment. Calmly, firmly. The class had gone quiet. Then one student clapped. Then another. Maya stared at the screen. The ripples were spreading, and somehow, they were starting to look like waves. Friday arrived cloaked in gray skies, the kind that made everything feel suspended like the world was holding its breath. Maya stood at the center of the gymnasium-turned-auditorium, watching folding chairs fill slowly with students, faculty, and a few parents. The bleachers along the side walls had been pushed back, leaving a large open floor where the circle would form. This wasn't a pep rally. No one was shouting. No music blared. But there was an energy pulsing through the space, unspoken and thick with anticipation. She adjusted the mic clipped to her collar and looked over at Miss Jenkins, who offered a small nod from the side of the room. Just behind her was Dr. Monroe, arms folded, watching the scene like a seasoned general, reading the mood before battle. Destiny came to stand beside Maya, whispering, "There's at least 100 people here, maybe more." June slid in from the other side, holding a clipboard. "We've got our speakers lined up. We're going with the original plan." Maya nodded, though a weight pressed hard against her chest. She hadn't slept much. The letter from Trevor still sat in her notebook. She hadn't replied. Didn't know if she ever would. At exactly 3:05 p.m., the mic clicked on. Maya stepped forward. "My name is Maya Williams," she said, voice steady. "And 2 weeks ago, someone yanked my chain necklace, mocked my skin, and called me something no one should ever be called. I didn't raise my voice that day, but I stood my ground." There was a stillness in the gym. No one rustled, no whispers, just the electric quiet of people listening with full hearts. "And today," she continued, "we're standing our ground together." She stepped back. One by one, students came forward. Jerome spoke about the way teachers sometimes ignored comments muttered under breath. Show racism hid not in slurs, but in shrugs and silence. Alejandra shared how her cousin dropped out after being harassed online, how school never investigated the fake account that targeted her culture and family. Even a freshman, a petite white girl named Lacey, took the mic and admitted she'd once laughed along with the popular kids to avoid being their next target. Her voice trembled when she said, "Silence doesn't protect you, it just delays the pain." Applause wasn't raucous. It was rhythmic, resounding, respectful. Each story added a brick to something invisible, something real. When the final speaker finished, Maya returned to the mic. "I'm not here to tell you I'm over it, or that Trevor's letter fixed everything. What I will say is this: I believe in repair, but repair requires tools, truth, accountability, courage, and community." She looked slowly across the crowd. "This school won't be fixed with posters or promises, but it can start here, with this circle, with us deciding not to look away anymore." She stepped back, letting the words settle. Miss Jenkins took the stage to announce the next steps: monthly town halls, a student-led ethics committee, restorative justice training. Dr. Monroe followed, her speech short and sharp. "Change doesn't come from one brave act. It comes from consistent ones. You've begun that work. Now protect it." As the crowd dispersed, small moments bloomed. Two girls who'd never spoken hugged. A boy apologized to another student near the exit. Mr. Ellis offered his notebook to Maya, saying, "For the next chapter." Later that evening, Maya sat on her porch steps, the notebook in her lap, pen uncapped but motionless. Her father came out, handing her a cup of hot cocoa. He sat beside her without a word. "I thought I'd feel more. I don't know," she murmured. "Lighter." He nodded slowly. "Because it's not done. This wasn't the end. This was the spark." Maya sipped the cocoa. "You think people will actually change?" He tilted his head. "People follow stories, Maya. And today, you gave them a new one. One where the girl didn't just fight back, she led." The wind picked up slightly, rustling the old wind chimes that hung above their front door. Maya opened the notebook and began a new page. This time, it wasn't titled Incidents or Proof. It was simply titled, Next Steps. 1. Start the peer mentorship group. 2. Work with Miss Jenkins on teacher bias training. Sen. Invite parents to the next town hall. 4. Make space for student art and poetry about race, identity, healing. 5. Respond, not react. She paused, then added, 6. Don't stop just because the noise dies down. The silence is where it begins again. The porch light flicked on behind her, casting a golden glow over the page. Her dad stood to head inside but paused at the door. "Proud of you, kid," Maya smiled faintly. "I'm proud of us." Inside the house, the phone buzzed, a message from Destiny with a photo attached. The gym, now empty, but the circle of chairs still standing. "Still here," the message read. Maya stared at it for a long time, then closed the notebook. Tomorrow, the headlines would move on. But she wouldn't. She wasn't just standing up for herself anymore. She was standing up for those still sitting in silence. And she wasn't alone. Monday morning arrived with a surprising chill for early spring in Charlotte. The halls of Drayton High buzzed with a different kind of energy. No one said it out loud, but the effects of the stand-up circle still echoed through the school. Teachers hesitated before brushing past a student's raised hand. Locker conversations dropped their usual bite, and posters, real ones this time announcing the Student Equity Committee, had been pinned up near the office. Maya walked into the building clutching her worn messenger bag, the notebook inside now filled with notes, diagrams, and the first draft of a peer mentorship proposal. She spotted Destiny and June already waiting at the glass-walled conference room adjacent to Principal Monroe's office. "Maya," June waved her over. "They're letting us speak first on the agenda. That's big." Destiny grinned. "And we actually get seats this time. No more folding chairs shoved in the corner like accessories." When the secretary ushered them in, Maya noticed immediately the long boardroom table had 3 nameplates added at the end: Maya Williams, Destiny Reyes, and June Carter. It didn't erase everything, but it was something. Principal Monroe entered a moment later, followed by the counselor Mr. Chen and Miss Jenkins with a thick file under her arm. Superintendent Callahan even joined via video on the mounted screen. "I'll keep this brief," Monroe began, placing her leather folder on the table. "We've read the letters, we've seen the footage, and we've heard the community. We're not here today to defend the past. We're here to start building a different future. So Maya, Destiny, June, this floor is yours." Maya took a breath, opened her notebook, and began. "Our proposal includes 3 core components. First, student-led mentorship programs for incoming freshmen, especially those from historically marginalized groups. Second, implicit bias training for teachers, conducted in partnership with outside consultants. And third, a protected space for reporting hate speech anonymously, with a mandatory review process by a joint committee of students and staff." She paused, letting the words settle. Miss Jenkins leaned forward. "We support these suggestions, but I'd like to add one more curriculum revision. Our textbooks, well, let's just say, some of them still call the civil rights movement a disturbance." Laughter broke around the room, not cruel laughter, but the kind laced with disbelief. Destiny added, "And we'd also like to propose themed assemblies, not just for Black History Month, but year-round topics: immigration stories, Indigenous voices, disability inclusion, and more." Superintendent Callahan from the screen adjusted his glasses. "This is impressive. I've seen adult boards come in with less clarity and heart." June smiled, barely hiding the pride in her eyes. Still, as the meeting progressed, Maya's mind drifted. She wasn't used to being in these rooms, the ones with glossy wood and careful language. Rooms where people said things like optics and policy implications. She kept her posture strong, but a part of her wrestled with the newness of it all. After the meeting, Monroe stopped her just outside the door. "You handled yourself well in there." "Thank you," Maya replied, but hesitated. "What's on your mind?" Monroe asked, her tone unusually soft. I don't want this to be a phase," Maya admitted. "We've all seen how people get loud, and then quiet again when it's no longer trending." Monroe nodded, thoughtful. "Then don't let them forget. Real change doesn't scream, it persists." That night, Maya sat at her kitchen table, her mother across from her slicing bell peppers for fajitas. "You looked like you had a long day," her mom said without looking up. Maya pushed aside her notebook. "We got approval. For almost everything. Even curriculum reviews. That's amazing, baby." "I should be happier," Maya murmured, voice low. "But I feel like I've stepped into a different world, and I'm still wearing the wrong shoes." Her mother smiled gently. "You know what my mother used to tell me? You may start in borrowed shoes, but if you keep walking, one day they'll call them yours." Maya didn't say anything, but she wrote the words down in the back of her notebook. By Wednesday, the mentorship pilot had begun. Maya walked into room 213, temporarily converted into the peer support Huband, was met with a group of 9th graders sitting nervously in a half circle. Some clutched their backpacks. One boy kept looking at the clock. A girl with pink braids doodled in the corner of her notebook. "Hey everyone," Maya began, placing her backpack on the floor. "I'm not here to give you rules. I'm here to give you space." She paused. "This room isn't about fixing people. It's about helping each other walk through hard stuff. Stuff no one teaches us how to deal with. Identity, belonging, fear. You get to say things here, and no one will say you're too sensitive or too angry." A kid voice spoke up. The girl with the pink braids. Even if it's about race? Especially if it's about race," Maya said. That cracked something open. Slowly, the room warmed. One by one, students shared stories, some heartbreaking, others filled with small hope. One boy talked about not knowing who to sit with at lunch because he wasn't black enough and wasn't Latino enough either. Another girl shared how teachers called her articulate, like it was a compliment, not a microaggression. Maya listened. She didn't interrupt. She let silence stretch when it needed to. She didn't try to fix anyone's pain. She simply held it with them. That night, she received a message from Trevor. Just 5 words. "I heard about the circle." She stared at it, didn't reply. Instead, she sent a photo to Destiny and June, the empty room after the session, the chairs still curved like a soft crescent moon. Day 1. Still standing. The fight wasn't over. But now she wasn't just surviving it. She was shaping it. Thursday morning arrived wrapped in an overcast haze, the kind that made colors look duller and thoughts feel heavier. Maya stood by her locker, her fingers resting on the metal edge, her gaze lingering on the peer support hub flyer someone had pinned nearby. The words, "Safe Space," were written in bold navy letters across the top, but someone had scribbled snowflake circle over it in red marker. She stared at it a beat too long. Not in anger, not even in surprise. Just disappointment. Destiny approached from behind. "Saw it too," she murmured, arms crossed. "You want me to rip it down?" Maya shook her head. "Number, leave it. It says more about them than us." They walked the hallway together, quieter than usual. Maya could feel it, something was shifting beneath the surface. Not everyone welcomed the change. Some students were reacting like caged animals whose door had been opened but who refused to step out. Fear didn't just come from the oppressed. It boiled in the ones who feared losing their place. That afternoon, Maya received a message from Mr. Chen. "Need you in room 107. Urgent." When she walked in, she found Monroe already seated with a pale-faced girl sobbing into her hands. It was Lily, the same junior who once laughed when Maya got shoved in the cafeteria. Her mascara was running, her breathing shallow. "She's been threatened," Monroe said, her voice clipped. Screenshots of text messages. Someone posted pictures of her attending the support circle anonymously. Said she was a traitor to her kind. Maya blinked. "Her kind? She's biracial," Mr. Chen added. "White mother, black father. Some kids think that means she doesn't get to choose." The words cut deeper than Maya expected. I just wanted to listen," Lily sobbed. "I didn't even say anything. I just sat there." Maya approached her slowly, crouched so their eyes were level. "That's enough," she said gently. "Sometimes, just showing up makes people uncomfortable because they're not brave enough to." Lily met her eyes, searching for something she hadn't dared ask for permission to belong. That evening, Maya couldn't sleep. She sat on the porch steps, hoodie drawn over her head, listening to the neighborhood dogs bark in the distance. Her mom opened the screen door behind her, holding 2 mugs. "Chamomile," she said, handing one over. "You look like you were carrying the weight of every child in North Carolina." Maya chuckled weakly. "Feels like it some days." Her mother sat beside her, the porch creaking under their shared weight. "I saw what someone did to your flyer." Maya looked away. "It doesn't matter." "Of course it matters," her mother said softly. "But what matters more is what you do next." They sat in silence for a while, sipping tea under the dim glow of the porch light. The next day, Maya walked into school wearing a new shirt, plain white, with bold black letters on the front. "Your silence is louder than my voice." No one commented, but many looked. During lunch, she was pulled aside by Mr. Reynolds, the civics teacher known for never raising his voice but always making it count. "I heard about the threats," he said carefully. "I'm fine." "I didn't ask if you were fine, Maya. I asked if you needed anything." She hesitated. "Actually, Yes. I want 10 minutes at the next school assembly. He blinked. That's ambitious. It's overdue, she said. Monday's assembly came fast. Too fast. The gymnasium echoed with chatter as students settled into the bleachers, bored and restless. Maya stood behind the curtain off stage, heart thudding in her chest. Destiny squeezed her hand once before stepping back. Principal Monroe gave her the nod. She walked to center stage, alone. The mic squeaked. She waited. Waited for the murmurs to die, the restless shuffling to slow. And when she spoke, it was not with force but with focus. I know most of you don't want to be here. That assemblies are just a free pass from class. I used to think that too. She scanned the crowd. But I also used to think I had to earn space here. That maybe if I didn't speak too loudly, didn't stand out too much, things would be okay. Her voice steadied. I was wrong, because staying quiet didn't protect me from getting pushed, called names, or erased. And now I know it never would've. She paused, let the words settle. A girl came to our circle last week and said nothing. Someone took her photo, turned it into a threat, just for being in the room. The silence grew. If listening is dangerous, if empathy is betrayal, then what does that say about us? Someone shifted in the back row. A teacher cleared their throat. This isn't just about race, or gender, or who you pray to. It's about humanity. And if that's controversial, then maybe it's time we ask why. A beat. And if you ever wonder what side of history you're on, just ask yourself, when people were hurting, were you the one who spoke, or the one who watched? She stepped back. No applause, no boos, just silence. Deep, heavy, lingering silence. As she exited backstage, Monroe stood waiting. That wasn't easy, she said. Maya shrugged. Neither is living with the alternative. That night, an anonymous note appeared on the door of the peer support hub. 4 words, scratched in uneven handwriting. Thank you for speaking. Maya didn't know who wrote it, but she kept it, folded it gently, and placed it between the pages of her notebook right next to her mother's words about borrowed shoes. Because the shoes still pinched some days. But damn if she wasn't walking anyway. The Monday after the assembly, the school hallways were quieter not in volume, but in energy. It was the kind of silence that follows a storm, the kind that lingers in people's eyes long after the words have stopped. Maya walked through it with her shoulders relaxed but her senses heightened, as if bracing for what might come next. Some students avoided eye contact. Others offered her faint nods, like they weren't quite ready to stand beside her but also couldn't look away anymore. And then there were those who still looked at her like she was trouble, like the wound she exposed was somehow her fault. She could live with that. Destiny found her by the lockers and handed her a folded note. Someone left this for you at the front office. Maya opened it slowly. You don't know me, but my little brother was getting bullied too. Not because of race, he's autistic. He came home last week saying some girl with a soft voice told the kids to stop. That was you, wasn't it? Thank you. Maya smiled faintly, her chest tightening. In Monroe's office later that day, Mr. Chen was waiting, a small grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. Guess what? He said, placing a folder on the desk. We just got approval from the district to start a school-wide respect and equity initiative. Monthly open forums, staff-led workshops, and most importantly student-led panels. Monroe raised an eyebrow. We're going official. Only because of you, Mr. Chen said, turning to Maya. I didn't do it alone. No, Monroe agreed. But you were the spark. Maya looked down at her hands. What if I'm tired of being the spark? They were quiet. Then Monroe leaned forward. Then rest, Maya. Let others carry it a while. The point of a fire is to spread. And it had. That Friday, the first student-led panel was announced. Posters went up with a photo of students, sitting in a circle, faces blurred. Words clear, different voices, shared humanity. Destiny, Maya, and 2 other students from different grade levels would co-host the session. In the days leading up to it, something unexpected happened. A group of students who'd once mocked the support circle began attending meetings. Not all with open hearts, but with open ears. At one meeting, a tall, red-headed boy named Tylerone of the same, who had grabbed Maya's collar weeks ago, stood up. I didn't get it before, he said awkwardly, hands stuffed in his pockets. I thought people just needed to toughen up. But then my cousin tried to hurt himself after being bullied online, and I realized, maybe we all need somewhere to speak before we explode. He looked at Maya. I'm sorry. She nodded once. Not forgiving, not forgetting, but recognizing the first step. Later that day, Maya passed the gym where two students were arguing. She slowed when she saw it was Lily, holding her ground against a girl from the cheer team. I'm allowed to care, Lily was saying. Being half black doesn't mean I have to choose sides. This is my side. The other girl scowled. You just want attention. I want truth, Lily replied. Maya didn't intervene. She just watched. And for the first time, she felt something unexpected pride, not in herself, but in what she had helped create. The day of the panel arrived. The auditorium was packed. Students, teachers, even parents sat scattered throughout. Mr. Reynolds gave the opening statement. Today, you're not just students, you're citizens of a community learning how to listen. Destiny opened the panel by reading a letter from a student who had chosen to remain anonymous. It was about feeling invisible, about how one kind word from a janitor was the only reason he kept coming to school. Then Maya took the mic. She didn't prepare a speech this time. She didn't need to. I used to think justice looked like someone coming in and fixing things, she began, like a teacher stepping in at the right moment, a principal handing out consequences, a hero with a badge. She looked around the room. But sometimes, justice is quieter. It's a hallway where someone moves their backpack so you can sit, a teacher who pronounces your name right, a friend who doesn't laugh at the wrong time, or the moment you finally stand up, even if your voice shakes. She paused, her throat tight. And sometimes justice is just being seen. Applause followed, slow at first, then steady, then full. If Maya's words touched your heart, hit the like button to let her know she's not alone. And before we continue the story, tell us where you're watching this video from. Leave a comment below. There might be more people near you watching this right now than you think. Afterward, a white-haired woman approached Maya. I'm on the school board, she said. I watched your assembly speech online. It reminded me of the first time I walked into a segregated school as a young teacher. I was scared, but I stayed. You reminded me why. Maya didn't know what to say. She just nodded, the moment too heavy for words. As the day wound down, Maya sat alone by the window in the school library, the sun dipping low over the town. Destiny slid into the chair beside her, carrying 2 chocolate milks. We're officially starting a chapter of the statewide Youth Justice Alliance, she said. And guess who's the student rep? Maya raised an eyebrow. Nope, not you, Destiny grinned. I volunteered. You already saved the world this semester. Go be a kid for 5 minutes. Maya smiled for real then, deep and wide. Outside, students passed by laughing, backpacks bouncing, nothing extraordinary, and yet everything had changed. Because in a school once silenced by fear, people were finally talking. And in the heart of it all stood a girl who used to shrink her voice and now amplified not by volume, but by truth. The echo of her courage would remain long after the mic was turned off. And justice, for once, didn't wear a badge or a robe. It wore a name tag. Maya Williams. Student. Daughter. Witness. Spark.